Hey guys, it is another week on I'm closing it down now to 4 weeks left, I think, of doing the 100 days for the long road to hell. As you may probably hear, my throat is starting to get a little bit better. I'm not like 100% yes yet, but I'm starting to feel better. um I'm going to be trying to work more on Hell Beneath You, the first draft of the first chapter. I actually already uploaded the newest page of Warlord to the Duck Web Comics onto Truthful Comics. I'm gonna upload it to my website soon as well. So that's definitely exciting. I haven't updated a new page since March, I believe. So that was fun to actually put up an actual page. Um, Over the weekend, as I said as well in the previous video, I believe, I updated Nevermind at last as well and the Cannon Girl. So hopefully this week, even with all this muckiness going on, it will be more relatively normal in terms of updating and getting stuff done. Um, I'm going to keep the intro to a minimum because of my throat. It's still being a little affected, but overall starting to feel a lot better, and hopefully I'll be able to get a lot of stuff done this week. So before I decided to keep writing on Hell Beneath You, I actually started to unpack some of my older art stuff from when I was moving from to this place. I haven't unpacked all of my art stuff because, as you all know by now, it's been a crazy last couple of months. But I'm kind of excited with what I found because I didn't know how much original artwork I still had from when I was designing Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord. So it was actually very cool to actually find, since I've been talking about Funnybone so much the last couple of episodes, this is the very first Funnybone sketch when I designed him. And this is the second sketch I made. Like, this is the official, like, final version I made of a design. As you can see, he's a lot more like his first, like his, he's a lot more like the design he is right now. Like in the original, is a little more safe, I guess, in a way with the design. Like a little more simplistic, really short hair. And then I just went a little more crazy and more stylized for his design and came with the funny bunny as well. And here's like the third ever sketch I did of Funnybone. A lot of people actually really loved this sketch back then. I actually might redraw this one or something. And that's when I was doing a title page, when back then I was trying to mingle around with computer coloring for the first time ever. That must have been back in 1998, 1999. And of course I found, I still have one of my sketchbooks where I really started to take seriously designing the characters to adapt from the old notebook series into an actual comic book series. The stickers, I'm not much of a car guy, to be honest, but when I was younger, I saw these stickers like at a convenience store or something, and those little vending machines that you put in 2 quarters and you'll get a sticker. And I just thought that the designs were so dynamic and it looked so creative with the crazy backgrounds. Some of them even has dragons, others are like comic book inspired, others are very Japanese inspired. I couldn't help myself. I just had to get those stickers and I just put it on here. I've been toying around with the idea of doing stickers similar to these with my characters, but yeah, I just made a TikTok video actually kind of flipping through the pages of the designs of this sketchbook. There's more of the stickers. Again, you have to love the dynamism, how dynamic the car looks, and freaking dragons in the background. And I found a lot of other artwork again. This is actually one of my first attempts at computer coloring, which is from that sketch that I showed a little bit earlier from Funnybone. And my first raw attempts at like putting together a comic on using computer stuff. This was actually like a very primitive, well, primitive by today's standards, program that was actually for designing postcards. It like you could design postcards and flyers, and I pretty much did it with that. You know, like I believe I colored it in Microsoft Paint. I may have colored it in that. And then I pasted it into those designs. This is actually fan art. Like, it is so crazy. It blows my mind that even with the notebook series, when I was like lending it around to people just to like check it out, I actually started getting fan art from then. And here are like designs for the characters. Some are familiar, some aren't so familiar. Some of these looks aren't going to ever make it. Others are going to make it eventually. So it's just kind of a nice little walk down memory lane, at least to me. I have to really reorganize and kind of try to salvage what I can, because a lot of this stuff also got damaged. Not just with the moves, but also some of them got caught up in floods and whatnot in the older apartment as well. And, you know, yes, wear and tear. I really should have probably taken better care of this. You know what they say about hindsight, though. So yeah, like I'm just kind of flipping through these fast because I eventually want to do like a whole dedicated video to these. More fan art, actually. Like I do want to do a more dedicated... Again, if you kind of like hear them kind of peeling off from each other still, they went through some water damage. At the very least, the sleeves protected a lot of the original artwork. There are some artworks that are going to have ink blotches because the water got inside of the sleeves somehow. Like, first of all, it got inside of the folder, which was this folder right here. And before it kind of came apart, this was actually pretty closed tight that I still don't know how water actually got in here. And when I opened it, that's when it kind of like came undone, and like I was about to throw the whole thing away until my girlfriend told me like, no, hey, like this is like your old stuff. You should hang on to it and see if there's anything that you can save from it. So I decided to like keep it, and you know, thankfully a lot of them aren't that badly damaged. If anything, it's mostly the sleeves themselves that are... As you can hear, it's mostly the sleeves themselves that are kind of messed up. I have a lot of original... Here's like some of the more recent stuff also that I was doing. But yeah, I'm going to sit down and organize these throughout the week. This is actually one of the first sketches I did of Jane from Fred Pearson, The Mighty Warlord. Pretty much the second main character in the book. This is actually one of my favorite sketches of her. Anyway, I'm going to put these in a corner of my other desk so I can just organize things better later on. And here it is. Fred Peterson, the Mighty Warlord, finally updated on Monday, December 6th, which is today. I'm actually really proud of this page. I don't know if I mentioned it before. Art-wise, it's nothing to like write home about. Dialogue-wise, it's probably one of my favorite interactions between Jane and her mom. But one of my favorite aspects of it is that I hadn't updated a Warlord page since like maybe March. So it's been a while, especially in webcomics. If you don't upload for that amount of time, usually that means that the webcomic is dead and not coming back. And there's been many instances like that over the last couple of years where I've had to take long hiatuses due to health things that has happened. But I try to bounce back as well as possible. I posted Warlord once again. My goal is to at least, at the very least, publish one page a week. And that's what I want to do for the rest of this year while I try to make a buffer of pages for Warlord and other comics as well for next year so there can be more of a consistent updating and hopefully there won't be any more health scares in 2022 like there were this year. As you can probably tell by the disheveled hair and the more pronounced beard, I still haven't been feeling that great with this cold. It turns out that it's actually a cold that just happened to coincide with a sinus infection that had just been beginning. So yeah, there's that. I made a video call with my primary doctor. I told him the symptoms, and he said that based on those symptoms, that's essentially what's happening. So, yay. Like, I knew it wasn't COVID from before. I'm probably going to get tested tomorrow or something, though, just in case. Because I don't want to be foolish enough to just automatically assume one thing or the other. Like, I already went through COVID this year. It definitely doesn't feel like COVID. But then again, when I had COVID, I don't know if I talked about it before. When I had COVID back in April, I had such bad luck that it was actually a combination of COVID with food poisoning. Some takeout that my girlfriend and I had ordered didn't sit well with me, and I developed a pretty bad food poisoning from that, one of the worst ones I've ever had. And oddly enough, after I had like that bout of food poisoning, my girlfriend and I are foodies. Like, we love to experiment trying new and different foods. So I'm not a stranger. Sorry. I'm not a stranger, unfortunately, to food poisoning. So it'll happen for a day, at the most two, and I'll be back to normal. But in this case, the upset stomach was getting worse and worse, and then I started developing a fever. We both kept assuming that it was probably just a worst case of food poisoning than I've had before, until I had to go to the hospital. And at the hospital, that's when they tested me for COVID as well, just in case. I was already going to stay regardless that night because I definitely needed IV. I definitely needed fluids because I must have been really dehydrated, even though I tried my best to keep drinking water constantly to not be too dehydrated, which in hindsight probably also helped save me as well. And after they like did the initial blood test and whatnot to kind of rule anything out, and urine test as well. When the results came back, that's when the nurse came back and said, you definitely are having food poisoning or had it at some point during this week, because a lot of the symptoms that we found in the blood work is consistent with food poisoning. But we also did the COVID test and you're positive. And at first my girlfriend just kind of looked at the nurse and we're like, oh, okay. Because it kind of didn't sink in. I'm sorry. It kind of didn't sink in at first that she said that I tested positive for COVID. And she kind of noticed that. So she kind of goes again, sir, I'm telling you that you just tested positive for COVID-19. And that's when my girlfriend and I just kind of look at each other. Then we look at her and we're like, wait, what? And at that time, I was working remotely from home, and I barely went outside, even though I could go outside if I wanted to, because I was deemed an essential worker. And sometimes I would have to go to the office for one thing or another, an update, a briefing, a meeting. So, there were times that I was kind of exposed in that sense, because I was able to travel like at the height of the lockdown and the pandemic, when New York City was essentially a ghost town. And at that time I was living in Brooklyn and working in Queens. So I pretty much had to travel through almost all the boroughs to actually get to where I worked at the time, or sometimes I would have to kind of peek around every borough as well. So, I had taken every single precaution, and, we don't know how that happened. Like, one of the recurring theories is that a former roommate more than likely was the one that got me, because at one point that roommate was sick, and it was a roommate that I've talked before on live streams on YouTube, that he would drunk cook at night, and he would like set the fire alarm off like at 1 a.m. because he would pass out drunk in his room while he would leave something cooking on the stove. It's a story, So that there is that theory. There's another theory that it could have been the actual person that delivered the food as well, because he looked kind of sus, not going to lie. The delivery guy was kind of odd in his behavior. Like, he seemed like he was a little sniffly there, and he actually did touch the screen on my phone, because he just kind of wanted to make sure that I was the person that had made the order for the delivery. And I showed him the code, and he just kind of, pinched the screen to make the code look larger so he could read it. So I didn't really think anything of it. I even forgot about that afterwards. So who knows? It could have been any number of ways. But yeah, I digress. Just to be on the safe side, I'm going to take the COVID test tomorrow, more than likely. In the meantime, if you have TikTok, or if you follow me on TikTok, you might have noticed that I've been trying to make a more concerted effort to upload stuff there again. I had not updated TikTok at all since Fiona, our eldest cat, passed away. Like, one of the last things I updated was a video of her. So, I kind of just decided to take that small break from TikTok for a while. Like, I took a small break from some of my social media because of that, just to kind of grieve and, just kind of reset myself a little bit. So I have been posting more frequently on TikTok again. So that's going to be fun, hopefully. Um, I'm going to try and work some more on that script. In the meanwhile, just wanted to like show a small sample of what I'm doing on TikTok as well, kind of talking about my comics and my artwork and silly things every now and then, just to keep things fun for myself and fun for anyone that follows me there. Hey guys, I'm sorry for my voice. First of all, I do have a small cold that I'm going through, but I just wanted to share like some stuff that I took out not too long ago. As most of you guys know, I was in the middle of a big move from one place to another a few months ago, and I got around to unpacking some other stuff that I haven't finished unpacking just yet with all the craziness that's been happening the last few months. And I have here actually a lot of Fred Peterson the Mighty Warlord original designs and sketches from when I was developing the concept of the comic book, actually, when I was adapting it from those notebooks that I did through high school and decided to do like the more serious actual comic book. So this is a sketchbook that I had where I was just like designing the characters, doing like some establishing shots of locations and whatnot, and sketches for promotional materials and whatnot. And then eventually, if you read my webcomic, you'll actually see some of the title pages and I think some of the covers as well. I actually illustrated them in this sketchbook as well. Here's some sketches and practices there. These are actually, if you've read the webcomic, these are like for the character profiles I did after the very first story arc of Warlord ended. This was a promotional piece I did also. This is the cover to chapter 5. This is more profiles. This is the title page for chapter 5 as well. More profile art. This is the cover to chapter 6 and the title page. This is the cover to chapter 7, the title page as well. Chapter 8 cover. This is actually the prologue dirt printing cover. Title page, there's the prologue, book 2 prologue cover. More character profile art. So yeah, that's all in this one sketchbook. More covers and title pages. The cover to chapter 11. And here we see the cover to issue number 1 when I did the printed version of Fred Peterson the Mighty Warlord. All these are bringing back a lot of memories. I haven't seen a lot of this original art in years maybe. This is from the book 1 epilogue cover. This is the line art to the issue number 2 cover of the printed version of Warlord. This, of course, is the line art to the chapter 12 cover, which kicks off book 2 in the webcomics, and the title page for chapter 12. This is the line art to the chapter 13 cover, and the title page cover, chapter 14's cover, and this is the last illustration on this sketchbook. This is was originally going to be the printed version of chapter 3's cover of Warlord, which featured Funnybone's origin story. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get past issue number 2 because by this time I had a hard drive failure on my old PC, and I didn't have sufficient enough backups back then to save files. So all that original artwork that was in the higher resolution got lost. So I wasn't able to print from issues number 3 and onward. And this was going to be the cover for issue number 3. I ended up eventually using it as a variant cover for the webcomic instead. Yeah, this was quite a ride. If you guys want a more detailed, slower paced look at this sketchbook, I'll likely do a YouTube video featuring this sketchbook and other stuff that I found, like the actual original Funnybone sketchbook, the very first time I sketched his design. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Catch you all next time. So, as I've shown some of you before, I've been recording my podcasts now on this Android tablet because I really like how the audio quality comes out with the Dolby app. And it's much easier to hook up a microphone to it as well, as you can see here. And what I do is that I kind of record the podcast and then like the previous week's podcast or whatever, as I show here on the Mac. That's when I kind of do the video version that I upload to YouTube as well. But as you can see here, this latest podcast, 23 minutes and 35 seconds. And then I realize I had the headphones hooked up to the tablet instead of the microphone. So there was nothing but static on for those 23 minutes and 35 seconds. So I have to re-record everything again. All right, so going more into like last week that I was showing off like how I started off doing Nevermind and the Cannon Girl again. Here's Webamani Webito for this upcoming Saturday. What I like to do is that I guess because of the habit of my former day job, the week started on Sundays and ended on Saturdays. So that's kind of how I've been viewing lately my updating schedule for the webcomics, like, and anything creative really. The week for me kind of starts on Sunday. And so that's why I pretty much kick off Nevermind and the Cannon Girl on Sunday, and then I quote-unquote end the week with Wepamani Wepito and Stupid the Cat. So this is strip number 6 for Season 1 TC edition of Wepamani Wepito. This one I went more of a political satire commentary on, more so than the other strips from this season. This strip has always been kind of a political commentary and satire of everyday life. So it's not, that far-fetched that it would get political every now and then. And when it does, it's mostly to poke fun at politics and politicians, to be fair. So this was actually a lot of fun to do, to be honest. And of course, I already have ready Stupid the Cat, which will start updating on Facebook and the Duck Web Comics as well. Well, I'm not really on the Duck Web Comics because most of the strips are already available there. But on Facebook, it's definitely the first time I'm posting them there, along with Wepamani Wepito, The Cannon Girl, and Nevermind. So that's going to be posted on Saturday. Very exciting stuff. I am going to be working tomorrow on the next installment of Nevermind and on the Cannon Girl as well. I'm trying to do as much as possible within this cold slash sinus. The good news is that I took both the rapid test and the regular swab test. So about 15 minutes after getting the rapid test, it came out negative, and now I'm just waiting for the results for the other test, which comes out in 2 to 3 days. So yeah, I'll be keeping an eye out for that, but at least I'm resting a little easier now that it was slowly creeping into my mind, like, what if it is COVID? And you just don't feel it as badly as before because one, you don't have food poisoning, as I mentioned in the previous segment, I think, of the video. And two, you also have your vaccination as well, so maybe you're not feeling as bad as before. So that's kind of been in the back of my mind as well. Actually, if you see kind of this right here, this is me setting things up for the newer sketch of, well, not sketch, but the newest strip of the Cannon Girl. It's going to be the remake of probably the most famous strip of the Cannon Girl. I'll show it to you guys once I'm finished and kind of talk about the two things. Hey there, sir. How are you doing, sir? Do you want to lodge a complaint? Are you upset that I'm on the desk? Do you want attention? You're a good boy, Puchita. Like when I work late at night, he usually comes behind my chair and sits down or lays down behind there. And he'll take a nap close to me. This is the finished The Cannon Girl. This is strip number 4. So I'm going in at a nice pace pretty soon. Throughout the week or later next week, I'm going to be entering, going into the halfway mark. Like what I am considering on doing, since this probably is the closest one to finish out of the strips, what I'll do most likely is that I'll concentrate on this one during the week, just so I can finish those 12 strips, since it should have ended a long while ago. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but my plan was to make, the 12 strip season and kind of rotate them. So I would do on Sundays 12 strips of Nevermind, take that season break, and as soon as Nevermind ended, that's when the Cannon Girl would start. So there would be like a constant flow of comics coming out, web comics. So on when the Cannon Girl would end, then the new season of Nevermind would start, and so on and so forth. The same with Saturdays with Wepamani Wepito and Stupid the Cat. Originally, it was going to be Wepamani Wepito Season 1 remake, and then Stupid the Cat will be uploaded to Facebook for the first time. And when that finished, then Season 2 remake of Wepamani Wepito, and so on and so forth. But as I mentioned before, COVID changed all those plans, and I got set back so badly that I'm just kind of updating everything at once now to at least have everything finished as best as possible within the circumstances. And then once the seasons finally reach their final strip, then I'll kind of like think over what steps to take after that, because it is a very hectic kind of frantic pace to do all these strips and comics at the same time. So this is the new version of this strip of the Cannon Girl. In the original one, I already have it all set up here. As you can see, it was with a wooden mannequin, and just to kind of have fun with it, I decided to update it and use a virtual art mannequin instead. But it's the same message anyway. It's the same strip, more updated, like with the other strips that I'm updating as well. These have been a lot of fun to make, actually. A lot of good memories. Like, I think that's going to be the title to this episode, because like the week kind of started off finding and dusting off the dust on my old Warlord sketchbooks, and kind of having a trip through memory lane on that, and now really working hard since last week on these remakes of these strips, like just reading the older strips and remaking them. There is a sense of nostalgia there as well. Seeing how it started and looking at how it's going now. It really has been a journey. I am a comic book journeyman in that sense. Probably not like the big superstar, but the one that you can kind of count on sometimes to have something come out with some sense of consistency. Yeah, I kind of like that. Like, I've always been kind of like the underdog, scrappy veteran kind of deal. Back then, of course, I was more like the underdog, scrappy rookie. But I don't know, like underdogs have always been my favorites. I've always been kind of an underdog myself, so yeah, this has been quite a journey, I must say. 15 years making these things. Sometimes you love it, sometimes you hate it, but I just can't quit it. I really can't. It's just embedded in my bones, in my DNA at this point. Um, I'm going to be found dead at my desk one day, probably, working on this stuff. And there really isn't any better way to go, I guess, than while doing the things that you love. So I just finished recording a live stream on my Facebook and YouTube. Took a quick shower and thought about it and then deleted it. Um, I didn't delete it because it had anything bad in it. I've done this before actually. I'll do a live stream, and if I feel like it didn't come off well enough or good enough, I'll just delete it. It was basically talking about how in Puerto Rico sometimes there's no support for the creative arts, and just pretty much complaining about the people that complain that there's nothing ever culturally exciting happening in the island, or that nothing of importance in terms of like art is being brought over for people to like kind of broaden their minds and whatever. And then when things like the Van Gogh experience does happen and is taken to Puerto Rico, people still complain about it, oddly enough. And it's just weird, that kind of contradiction, in that sense that people are willing to like pay $40 for something and then just complain and complain about it. And it's the same kind of people that wouldn't spend even $4 to help a small business or an independent artist, to buy their prints or their crafts and whatnot. And it's kind of hypocritical in a way. I don't even think I said the word correctly. I'm sorry. My nose is very congested right now. So, it was just aggravating to see that, people that are complaining but don't offer any solutions either. Um, I've been doing a lot of stuff myself, like whenever I see that there could be more done within the indie community, I take it upon myself to try and offer up solutions rather than complain. I think I've mentioned it before on this on these series of videos that I'm doing a thing on the Truthful Comics website called Gift Indie, which is a series of blogs where we've been recommending independent comics for people that either are fans of comic books but wants to try something different, or perhaps a person that's into the comic book movies or are curious to get into comics, but they quite don't know where to start. We just kind of offer like some suggestions on what comics they could try to start with. And not just that, I'm also taking the time to send questions to other independent creators, whether they're fine arts artists or comic book creators or into crafts and whatnot. And just kind of ask them to give their insights and show off their product as well to kind of, lift everyone up at the same time. It's been very fun to do that, and I had the enormous pleasure of exchanging emails with Jimmy Palmiotti, Jim Ballant, who were big names in the mainstream as well as holding their own with their independent comic creations as well. Creators that helped inspire me to do my own indie creations too. So it's been just a blast to do that, and the reception has been fantastic. People have been reading the blogs, commenting, just having a lot of fun, and best of all, a lot of people are actually getting inspired by the words of these creators. And that's kind of what I want. I just want to kind of pass it forward, that inspiration for people to create their own things. And if in the process other people or some people find something that they would want to buy as well, even better. Share the wealth. That's what I think about. The pie is big enough so that I can go ahead and talk about a colleague's product and not worry about sales or potential sales being taken away from my own product. Like I said so before, even on my live streams, I'm low-key narcissistic, maybe. I'm confident enough in my own talents and my own products that I can sell what I want to sell without worrying about promoting someone else and quote unquote losing a sale. When I say that I'm a very competitive person and I like to compete against other creators, it's not in the sense that I want to outsell them, not in the sense that I want to take their public away from them. I don't want to steal their readers and stuff like that. It's competitive in the sense that if I see someone that does something cool, I just think to myself, well, I have to up my own game to do something cool too, to not be left behind. So it's more of a uplifting kind of competition in that sense, healthy competition in that sense, because everyone is my competition, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I consider them as colleagues in the same boat, you know what I mean? And a rising tide raises everyone. So I kind of want to help do things that will raise that tide and hopefully exposes more of these products to people that hadn't seen it before. I just noticed that I've gone on for like 6 minutes on this particular video, and I've been joking around that these episodes were going to end up being the shortest ones because I've been a little bit on the sick side, but I think that some of them have actually been some of the longest episodes somehow. So yeah, like I just keep pushing forward, I guess. That's how competitive I am. I don't let sickness get me down or anything. I just keep pushing forward. I guess that's the main theme of this whole series. You just have to keep pushing forward no matter what comes. I just finished strip number 3 for season 2 of Nevermind. This was one of the most famous strips originally in season 2 of Nevermind. The introduction of Gato Willie, aka Scarface. He was a stray cat that ended up adopting us. Like, I didn't really go much into details on the actual strip itself. Like, and I'll elaborate more when I do the kind of commentary of, you know, comparing the original strip with the new strip, which should be out probably by the time this video comes out, certainly, hopefully anyway, on my Patreon. Again, if you want to read all those older Patreon posts comparing the original strips to the remake, those posts are actually free to read. So yes, go to www.patreon.com/LanceDanger. And you'll be able to find a ton of free content there. And for as little as $1, of course, you will not be hearing me cough like this. But you will be able to have early access to my podcast when I don't make a mistake recording the podcast. I still have to record it. I've just been pissed at myself that I made that silly mistake the other day, that I had the headphones plugged in instead of the microphone. Like, my voice isn't that great, people, with this whole cold and sinus, to like go for 20 plus minutes talking into the ether. So yeah, that is kind of frustrating. And also, you'll have access to PDF versions of comics that I've released, and also high resolution illustrations of pinups that you can download as well, so you can have like your own print and whatnot. I have a lot of cool, or at least I hope they're cool, ideas for 2022 for my Patreon. So I'm sorry. Today the cough has been a little bit worse than usual, but I digress. I hope you all enjoy and find fun all the content I've been putting up, not just on Patreon, but everywhere else. So, Gato Willie, he was a stray cat that initially was sort of adopted by the people living downstairs. For those that don't know, my mom owns a 2-story house in Puerto Rico. We lived in the second floor of the house, at the top part of the house, and at the bottom, which is its own separate house, she would rent it out. So she was renting out this bottom part of the house, and it was crazy because they adopted this stray when he was a kitten, and they had a baby back then, and we noticed that they semi-adopted, I guess, the cat. Because one time my mom and I are in the balcony. I think we had just arrived from buying our groceries or whatever, and I noticed downstairs that the baby was like maybe 3-4 years old. He was like throwing some kind of toy into the air, and then running and grabbing it from the floor and throwing it again. And I thought it was just some kind of plush toy or whatever, a teddy bear. And when I looked closely, it was actually a kitten. So he was swinging the kitten from its tail and throwing it up in the air. And the kitten would land on its feet. And it would be like in a daze, I guess, like, because it would be spinning in the air, and the kid would be like mad quick and grab it again and just throw it in the air again. And that's when I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And when the kid looks up and smiles and says hi to me, that's when the kitten like took advantage and just like ran away from the kid. So eventually they told us that, they were feeding this kitten that they had seen roaming around, and sometimes they would let it inside the house so the kids would play with it and whatnot. And, we didn't mind. The only thing that we were kind of minding was the kid tormenting that poor little kitten, throwing it up in the air from its tail. It's like, it's like, damn, son, what are you doing? So it was like that for like maybe a few months, and they moved out. And the funny thing is that during that time, sometimes the kitten would actually follow me upstairs. I don't know if I've mentioned it before. I probably have, but animals, especially smaller animals like cats and smaller dogs, for some reason they kind of get some kind of attachment to me. So the cat just started following me upstairs one day, and then my mom and my sister as well. But he always seemed to be more connected to me. So, like, every now and then, sometimes we would feed the cat too. Like, why not? We would just, like, leave a small dish of water and a little bit of food in the balcony as well. But he would spend most of the time downstairs with the family downstairs. And then the family moved out, and that day that they were doing the last moving portion of their moving to a new place, they were calling out for the cat. Actually, they were calling the cat for a while. They were actually going to be leaving earlier, but they stayed like a couple of hours just waiting for the cat. Like, they had already even taken their dog with them to the new place. So they were pretty much all set up to just leave. And I know that the parents stayed mostly because the kids really wanted the cat. But the cat was like nowhere. And sometimes they would come upstairs and like ask us, and we're like, the hell if we know where your cat is. Like, sure, we would feed it sometimes ourselves too. Sometimes I would pet the cat and it would follow me around, but it's not like we were trying to keep the cat ourselves or anything. And they stayed as long as they could, and they eventually just gave up and left. And, we kind of like waved goodbye and whatnot, and they drove off. And I swear, not 2 minutes after they drove off, the cat comes out from underneath the staircase, just kind of looks around the parking area inside the house where they would park their cars. And we're just like, notice the cat like sitting, like walking around there, like almost like making sure like they were gone or something. Like, I swear he just like came out like from under the stairs, and I noticed that. And he was like walking very tentatively, almost like a spy or something. And then when the cat saw that everything was closed up and the cars weren't there, my mom and I were just looking at the cat astonished, like, what the hell? They were calling you, man, and like offering you food and everything, and they never found you, which means it must have hid deep underneath the stairwell, because underneath the staircase going up to the second house at the top, there was like a small kind of tool shed there. So there were like, some tools, some old tires and stuff in there. So the cat must have just hidden deep within all that stuff that was in that kind of small tool shed there underneath the staircase. And once they left, like a couple of minutes later, like he just came out, kind of looked around the area, and we kind of look at it, and we were like, should we call them, because they're not that far away and the cat is there. And the cat notices that we're looking at it, And I swear the cat just like stared at us for like a couple of seconds and just happily pranced towards us, went up the stairs and just made its way up to us and like started rubbing against me. It's like, oh, okay, what do we do now? The cat apparently is pretty attached to me. And my mom was like, let's just keep him. And so we just kept the cat. The cat pretty much adopted us, from that day forward. And he stayed with us for a couple of years until the cat actually disappeared. We never knew what happened to that cat. Sometimes we had the theory that the cat actually probably just went to another family or something. We don't know. Like, cats can be like that sometimes, especially if they're stray cats, street cats. We didn't keep the cat home that often. Most nights we would let him inside the house and sleep in the house and whatnot. And then during the day, we would let him free to do whatever he wanted. So he still was, even though he was like, quote unquote, our cat, he was still always more of a street cat. And he always had that attitude of being a street cat. So we don't know what happened to that cat, unfortunately. He was a very hot-headed cat. He was very territorial. If he would see any other stray cat in the area, a fight would ensue. That's why he had a little scar above his nose and the tip of one of his ears had like a small part missing because he had gotten into a pretty bad fight with another cat. So yeah, but when it came to my mom and myself, he was very sweet with us in his own way. And he would also be friendly with my sister as well. So yeah, that's the story of Willie. And that's the strip with him. I uploaded a new video to YouTube. Another episode of Enter the Danger Zone where I kind of talk about the 30th anniversary of Cyberforce. And it's funny because I coughed a lot during the recording of it, so there's a couple of jump cuts, but there's this one small stretch that I missed out where I coughed, and it's the one small part where I actually swear after coughing. Like, I thought I had I had clipped out all the parts where I had coughed, and I found that so amusing that I just left it in there. It is what it is sometimes. Maybe I'll clip it out eventually. YouTube now has that ability where you can clip out a part of the video as well. It takes forever for the clip parts to come out, but at least it's nice that it has that function as well. I've been having a lot of fun doing YouTube videos. And again, I guess the theme about this week is memories, because I was kind of looking back a little bit on the older videos I have done and how far I've come from then. And I've been downloading some of the old 100 Days of Making Comics videos because I do want to make a trailer with those videos to promote this very series as well. Of course, that trailer would be up by the time before even the first episode of this series comes out. And it's just a lot of memories, I'm very glad that even though as imperfect as these videos are, I'm glad that I put them out there. Because I do want to leave this legacy behind. And like I've said before, if anyone can find anything of value and it helps inspire them to do their own thing, my work is done. I've been incredibly fortunate that I've had other colleagues come up to me and tell me that they were inspired to do YouTube videos, or they were inspired to do TikTok, or they were inspired to do blogs or vlogs and such because they saw me do it and saw me do it with such passion and at least in their words anyway, and like a take no prisoners attitude. And even if sometimes the views and whatnot aren't quite there, I don't care. I just keep pushing forward and I keep publishing, and whoever watches, watches. Like I react the same almost if I see one view and one like compared to like if I have 400 views on a video or whatnot. Of course, I'll be happy if there's a lot of views on the videos because a lot of work does go into it. But at the same time, I'm happy that I make these videos, even if sometimes not as much people watch it, because a lot of times other colleagues are like thinking and telling me like, why does this have so little views? This really deserves to have a lot more views, a lot more subscribers, a lot more interaction. And my train of thought is, if it comes, it'll come. you know It'll be like the cherry on top of the sundae. Like, it'll be fantastic if I suddenly get monetization on my YouTube channel again. But at the same time, this isn't like my main source of income. And this is something that I'm doing just for, my own artistic expression. So this is just me something to do to just have fun and connect with other creatives, and hopefully inspire other creators to work on their things as well, so that there's a constant flow of content coming out there, and a constant flow of creators that are willing to keep an open mind and take creative risks to promote their comic, promote their artwork, promote whatever creative that they're working on. So yeah, that's just a lot of fun, a lot of fond memories from when I started doing YouTube a long time ago. I'm one of the OG YouTubers, even though it took me a few years to actually start posting videos myself, but I've always been around YouTube pretty much since its inception. So I'm definitely one of the OGs, and I have like the few videos that are like in the hundreds, that are in the thousands of views and whatnot. I don't know if I'll get more videos with views like that, but at the end of the day, the message and the content to me is actually more important than whatever views it may have. Of course, if I do something and I see that I consistently doesn't get many views, then it's probably time to move on to do something else, or do something different, or improve on something. But the main thing is that I don't quit. I don't quit because, again, this is just another side of myself, of my artistic, creative personality, that I just like to flex that muscle around, that creative muscle around. So to everyone that's been a part of this journey here on YouTube, I really thank you for sticking around and checking things out. I really do appreciate it. I do appreciate every single person that has viewed, liked, or commented, and that has subscribed. This year I actually ballooned quite a bit. Like, my subscriber count was kind of stuck in the 50s. And right now it's standing at 88 subscribers. And I don't promote my YouTube that often at all. So for it to slowly be growing again, it's really been great, It's really been fun, and it's been quite a journey, I'll tell you that. And I'm kind of glad that I've been capturing these small capsules in times of that journey. And I hope you guys find something of value or entertaining from it as well. All right, all right, all right, all right. You know what time it is. It is time for webcomics. And I just uploaded the strips for Webamani Webito and for Stupid the Cat over on Facebook, of course. Uploaded it very early in the morning, so I can do like some errands during the rest of the day. So that is very cool. I am very happy that I was able to upload these on time. My sinus is starting to act up quite a bit again, so Warlord does have me worried that I might not upload for Monday. But as long as I able to upload it either on Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, or at some point during next week, that's enough for me at this rate, because I really want to have at least a once a week update for Warlord. I was thinking about yesterday and uploading that Enter the Danger Zone video and also the random live video I made. And I was talking with another colleague that does comic books and YouTube as well. I've mentioned him before, Armando Drago Mendoza. We were just chatting and he apologized to me that he missed out on the live show. And I just like tell him like, dude, there's nothing to apologize for. Like, straight up, I do not plan these live streams. I don't schedule them, and they're random as fuck. So, I don't blame you for missing it if you were doing your own, if you were doing your own thing, if you need to do your own thing. Like, I don't expect everyone to drop what they're doing and start watching whatever live stream I'm doing on Facebook or YouTube. Although ideally that would be cool, but let's be realistic, if I'm doing these unannounced, I'm not going to expect to have a huge amount of people on there. And especially at the hours that I do them, a lot of times I do it at 3-4 o'clock in the morning, maybe 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning at the quote unquote earliest. But then I did that live stream yesterday. And it's funny because I did it like around 5-ish o'clock around there, PM. So there were actually quite a bit of people in the comments, in the chat, which is very rare for me since usually people are asleep when I do these live streams. So it was kind of nice to have like that bit of interaction, and people were actually sharing the live stream as I was streaming as well, which was really cool and fun, so I think I'm going to do more of a bit of a schedule. Like, for certain, I want to update once a week on YouTube, like a video. So more than likely every Friday, I'm going to be uploading a video, whether it be Enter the Danger Zone or the podcast replays or whatever other occurrence I might have that would be cool, at least in my perspective, to make a video of. And then I'll probably do at least one live stream, maybe on Monday or something, maybe on Wednesday, I don't know. And do that maybe at like a more approachable, friendly hour, like anywhere between 3 and 5 p.m. or something. And then, of course, I'll keep doing the random live streams at the witching hour or whatnot after I finish either editing the episodes of Long Road to Hell, or after I finished working on the draft of Hell Beneath You, or after I finish working on the web comics and such, because it is kind of a fun stress relief for me as well. So anyway, Stupid the Cat has been updated. Wepamani Wepito has been updated. And I'm just going to go and rest for a little bit and do a couple of errands. It's going to be the first time in about a week or two that I actually go out since I've gotten this cold. So yeah, it'll be fun to go outside for a little bit. So remember how excited I was earlier this morning to actually be walking outside again after being inside with this cold and sinus for a while? Fuck that. I sometimes I forget that I live in the city that never sleeps, and And that's just so overcrowded, especially when it's Christmas season. Like, I couldn't walk without bumping into someone. And, it's Manhattan in Christmas time. It's a lot of people, and a very morbid part of me misses the lockdown when I see that insane amount of people. Like, even before the whole pandemic hysteria, I am an introvert. Don't let these videos indicate the contrary to you. I may be egocentric and narcissistic sometimes, but in my hearts of hearts, I am an introvert. Do not be fooled. I see a lot of people accumulated in a place, and my energy saps down to the soles of my feet. I need to replenish my battery so badly when I get home, when I see that amount of people out there. And the amount of people that's out there, it doesn't do justice. The small clip of the Salvation Army bell guy being possessed by TikTok or something. The crowds of people, it's just insane. And I actually started recording that just as a random stranger had approached the guy that was dancing, and she took one of his bells and she started dancing with him also. And there was a big crowd around, and I didn't take my phone out to like show how crowded the streets were and some stores were, because I couldn't be bothered with it, because it's tiring enough to see this many humans out there on the street with my own eyes. It's even tiring to look at them through the camera of my cell phone. I'll probably do it if I go out again during the hype of the craziness. But I will say this, I did find in a store, Five Below, perhaps the coolest t-shirt ever made. I just had to buy it, and I will wear it. Oh, I will wear it. This is going to become one of my most favorite t-shirts to wear ever. Yes, you see. And my cat Buchito approves. Alright, so never mind, and the Cannon Girl has been updated to Facebook and the duckwebcomics.com as well. I'm going to upload them soon onto Truthful Comics and my own website, Art of Artvaro, as well. Probably it'll take me a little bit to do it because I am feeling quite a bit under the weather still. And the medications I take do take a toll on me physically. So I'm definitely won't be able to make it for Monday to upload a page of Warlord. That's going to have to come later in the week. But I have to try to take care of myself also. If there's one thing that I've learned definitely this year is that if I want to make it, I have to take better care of myself physically. Thankfully, I have to say that emotionally and mentally, despite all the things that I've gone through, I haven't really succumbed in a way where I just break down like I probably would have 10, 15, 20 years ago, where I guess I wasn't mature enough, or maybe hadn't gone. Well, I have gone through rough patches in my life ever since I was a kid, but sometimes I would kind of let that darkness take over and just let my mind go to dark places. And I guess the big difference is that, especially this past year and the past couple of years, whenever that darkness tries to overcome, I actually just let it come at me and I thrive in it, rather than lay low and kind of let things get into my mind. I just kind of accept that, okay, this is a rough patch, but you know what? I'm still one mean son of a bitch, and I'm going to get this stuff done no matter what's happening right now. I may take low blows, I may take body blows, and I may hit the mat once or twice, fall to my knees, but I'm going to get up again, and I'm not going to let that TKO or that KO happen. I'm just going to keep getting up and punching right back and getting right back into that darkness's face. You know, it might not be in this round that I get through, but it will definitely be the next round. And if it's not in that round, then it'll be in the round after that one. You know, the thing is just to keep surviving round after round until you either hear that final bell or until you knock down your opponent. There's no other option for me. You know, either go the distance or knock the other person out. That's the mentality I've had for the last couple of years, which is probably why I've been having a lot more fun doing my comics and whatnot. Anyway, I'm going to cut it right here. And I'm going to work a little bit on Warlord. I'm going to work a little bit on the script for Hell Beneath You. Hopefully next week I'll be feeling better. I am feeling better in contrast to last week, I guess. I try to sound as well as possible on the video so that people don't think I'm like dying on camera or something like that. You know, just try to power through everything. Hell Beneath You is really one of the most ambitious, if not the most ambitious project I've ever kind of taken upon, in a sense of doing something a little more mainstream compared to what I usually do, and doing something like horror, which is something that I haven't done enough of, to be honest. You know, I have a little bit of horror elements here and there throughout my works, but never straight up horror. So yeah, I'm going to end this week here. Despite the sinus knocking me out the way it did, and despite me, actually, I have to get in contact with that lab where I did the COVID test, because even though I did get my rapid test results that same day, I never got the results for the other test, the longer swab test. So I'll probably have to go to the lab itself this week or something, because I checked online and there were no results to speak of. So yeah, I'm going to probably do that next week. Thank you guys for watching, if you're watching. This week, despite of everything, hell yeah, it was a flawless victory. Even though I didn't get as much writing down as I wish I could. I took like a semi-break to concentrate on the webcomics and on Warlord, and just going down through memory lane as well. And I think that's actually helped me recalibrate a lot too. Like, I kind of like feel at ease after having some anxiety, in the sense that I haven't been able to advance Hell Beneath You as much as I wish I could have with everything that's been happening. And I guess just kind of going back into memory lane and finding those old sketchbooks and old designs, and then reading my older web comics to be able to do the remasters of them, and also going through older videos so I can make a trailer for this series in particular. It's nice to look back every now and again. Like, it's not good to live in the past, but if you erase your past completely, then you're definitely going to be making the same mistakes over and over. So it's nice to take a nice glimpse backwards, just to see where you started and compared to how you're doing right now. And if you find yourself that you're in a better place than you were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, then, you know, all of it would have been worth it. Definitely all of it would have been worth it. All of these bad experiences just turns into learning experiences that makes you stronger and just keeps giving you that push and drive to push forward. And if there's anything I want this series to be is a testament to that, to tell people that no matter what happens in your life, you can get knocked down, you can get sad, you can get depressed, but you know what? You can also keep pushing forward. No matter what, just keep pushing forward. This week has been a flawless victory amongst all the other flawless victories of the past weeks, months, and years. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next week.